And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. I sincerely hope that you just watch probably the best, one of the best sporting documentaries that you will ever see. Skip Bertman, the legacy that man left for the LSU Tigers, if you're just listening to us on the podcast as I'm pointing to my hat, changed the way and woke up the sleeping giant that we all know that is LSU. Yes, in baseball, but in football. Made Mark Emmert, made LSU, made Richard Lipsey, made the boosters go out there and pay for Nick Saban, pay for other coaches, do buyouts. LSU winning is at a premium, and it came from the big guy, Skip Bertman. We will talk about Coach Skip Bertman and the Hold the Rope documentary. Before we get started, what is one of your favorite parts of Hold the Rope? We'll put it up on the screen. Put the hashtag Ask Blake. But what a fantastic documentary. Hopefully, it inspires. And I'm going to tell a little story about Hold the Rope. I've actually mentioned that story on our podcast before about going to a coach's clinic with Skip Bertman. He'd say, we'll talk about it. The big guy. But that was a very fun – I'm going to go back and watch it tonight. Just no doubt. I'm going to go back and watch it. We also will be talking about some other LSU baseball news as they take the series against Texas A&M. Can they make a push in the SEC tournament? Let's hope that this gets the guys fired up. These guys that are on the team now, hey, this is what LSU baseball means. It's not just about you. It's about everything that came before you. We'll talk about some LSU baseball. LSU football update. We'll talk a little LSU football. I kind of made a little bit of a post. LSU might be expecting a big-time target offensively to return, as we kind of reported this past week. We'll talk on that as well. And TJ Finley, the former LSU quarterback, TJ Finley, transfers to Auburn. I'll give a little bit of my thoughts about that. But before we get started, guys, we got to pay some bills around this thing. We want to thank our good partners over at Believe Podcast and everything it is that we do, and none better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. GM Varno & Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Or go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you about BetOnline, and as the sports mobile betting world is about to take shape in the state of Louisiana, none better than our good friends over at BetOnline. It is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sporting action. They have you covered for all the scores, news, odds, and updates. It's the best way to place your bets. Get ready for when it passes in the state. Go sign up. It is free, and you will get 50% off your first deposit as a welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. All right, let's get started. We'll get to the comments as we do as always. Ryan Thibodeau says, hashtag hold the rope. I mean, he was Skip Bertman. So let's say this. Skip Bertman was the greatest coach in LSU history. It's not Nick Saban. It's not Ed Orgeron. It's not Paul Mainieri. It's not Dale Brown. It's not anybody. He is the biggest sports figure in LSU history. Whether you maybe and you could say Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow is a Heisman Trophy winning guy. I mean, the national championship. But Skip Bertman's success, winning 5 national titles in 10 years, 5 national titles, getting to them multiple times. And we could sit here and talk about baseball, right? We could sit here and talk about everything that Skip Bertman did on the diamond. Getting new facilities, Skip Bertman drop, everything he did. But, guys, he affected LSU even as an AD. The simple fact, Mark Emmert, the NCAA president, will come on this documentary and talk about he changed the culture of LSU athletics. He did that. Skip Bertman did that. And everything that Skip Bertman was about. Yeah, the Rudy Poo that we would come up to find Les Miles, but Les Miles won a title and got to another. Won a title and got to another. It branched him out to wake up the sleeping giant of LSU football and hire a guy by the name of Nick Saban, going and spending $1 million for a college football head coach that nobody in the country was doing. Nobody in the country did. Nick wins a national title, and then the rest is history. Everyone followed. Listen to this. Skip Bertman not only changed baseball and college baseball forever, he changed college football and how college football was ran. You go spend big money for everything that you do, facilities, coaches, getting everything in there. As Gus Malzahn sits in Florida with a $21 million buyout because now you have athletic directors followed by Skip and everything that he did at LSU. So don't tell me that Skip didn't captivate everything that we know about college athletics since the year of 2000, because he did. Skip has talked about before, too, that in 1999 they talked to him. And the quote that Mark Emmert gave Nick Saban is from the quote that we know came from Skip Bertman. Sports is the front porch of the university. I can't do a good imitation of Skip. I just can't do it. But I try. The big guy. What an emotional thing to see a guy change a program. You guys know I hate this what if game. What if that reporter from the Herald, the Miami Herald, doesn't call the new athletic director from LSU and say, hey, I got a guy. His name's Skip Bertman. He's at Miami. I mean, the list he gets from the board of supervisors when he gets hired saying, hey, you're going to do all this. The wax on, wax off. I mean, just what a fantastic documentary. Robert Plaisance on Facebook says, love the Skip Bertman documentary. I'm sure as everybody did. Carl the Cat Dunn says, nice hat. I appreciate that, Carl. Mikey says, hey, guys, sorry I haven't been on. Just came home from deployment and bought a new house, getting all moved in. Go Tigers. Well, it's good to have you back, brother. It's good to have you back. Brandon Reese says, hey, Blake, as an LSU fan, I just saw the Skip Bertman documentary, and it proved that he's the best coach in LSU baseball history, SEC history, and college baseball history, not even close. I think that there would be a debate for a Nick Saban and a Paul Bear Bryant. But what I would say, though, is Skip doesn't even – I would say as a figure, again, I don't know if the SEC has had a bigger figure when it comes to how things are changed. Guys, again, Nick Saban. LSU spending the money, getting a national championship, didn't win one until 1958. They come all the way back, and we know what LSU football is. Changed the culture. Skip has 5 national titles as a head coach at LSU and 2 as an AD. The one in 09 with Paul Mainieri and that team, and one in 07 with Les Miles. Just unreal, man. I wish he could. I mean, some people are saying, it shows how far LSU baseball has fallen. Well, yeah. Bear Bryant, when he was at Alabama, look how far they fell until Saban came here. I mean, I'm not saying LSU baseball can't ever do this again, but nobody has had the dynasty that LSU baseball's had. Nobody. Not even close. Mike Bazile, our financial advisor, says, Bertman, the big guy. And Adam Burrows says something that we can't say on live or we'll just get popped. So, Adam, we do see your comment, but we can't say it. Esteban says, go Tigers, with a Pablo Escobar logo and a Texans logo on the shirt. I like that profile picture, Esteban. I like that profile picture. Carl the Cat Dunn says, glad they did this documentary before Skip Went to that big Alex box in the sky. Yeah. I was telling that to my wife, and I don't mean this in the wrong way. You know, God bless him and knock on wood. But I'm glad he got to see it, right? I'm with you, Carl. I mean, the most influential individual that has ever graced LSU athletics. It's nuts, man. And they won. You know, it's crazy to hear what his players said about him. The funniest part with me is the Bird, when he said, Skip comes out to the mound and he's pitching. He says, "Hey, Bird, give me the ball. See, it's not your fault, you see. It's my fault. I recruited you." You know, like it's that kind of funny stuff. You know, if I'm LSU, if I'm an LSU baseball player tonight, just how I would have done it, I would go find a rope. I'd go find a rope, and I would hang it in our dugout. Hold the rope. Quick story, very, very quick story. There is a camp that he used to do every year, right? And LSU baseball has done these camps for forever. And I remember, and they talked about this in the documentary, and being at that baseball camp, and Skip would go up to the guys that are at the camp. And a side note, very quick side note, he would have that camp so he could see the talent that's in Louisiana, right? Like, that was his big recruiting ploy. So he would go on, and he would ask all these kids. He'd go up to, this kid, and he'd be like, "Hey, kid, if you're hanging off a cliff and you're holding on to this rope, who do you want on the other side to hold on to it for you?" And all these kids would say, "I want so-and-so because he's the strongest. I want so-and-so because he's got big muscles. I want so-and-so. I want Todd Walker. I want Big McDonald because there's LSU All-Americans." And Skip would say, "No, no, 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 no." And one kid, I guess he had been to a camp a couple of times, and he said, "Coach, if I'm hanging off at the side of a cliff, I don't care who's holding." And this kid's like 16, 17. He goes, "Coach, I don't care who's holding on to that son of a bitch as long as they hold on to it." He's like, "Kid, I bet you've been in my camp before." And the kid kind of chuckled. But that's just how Skip was. He was more of a motivator and got the best out of you. And, yeah, he was a great baseball coach, the things that he did. But, guys, baseball changed on Skip Bertman, right? Like, it changed the big bats, gorilla ball. And kind of like a Nick Saban and kind of like some other coaches. Look, even Ed Orgeron has done this. When the game changes on you, because the game does change on you when you coach that long, he adapted, and he was a pitcher's coach. He adapted. He goes, "You know what? We're going to hit a crap ton of home runs. Get up there, get on base, hit a bomb." They had guys hitting 30 and 40 home runs. Unreal, man. Absolutely unreal. Blake Schilling says, #AskBlake. Surprisingly, I saw this. Feinbaum wrote a positive article on the 2021 football teams. I didn't see this. Have a chance to read it. No, I didn't see it. I thought you were going to talk about him talking about Skip Bertman. I did see this. So let's get into a little football talk here. Everyone joining the show, we greatly appreciate it. Do us a favor by hitting the like and share to some groups. I saw that Saturday Down South and Athlon Sports posted this thing about their best coaches right now, and they had Nick Saban. Okay, it is what it is. Jimbo Fisher. I think that there could be a debate there because, look, he does have a national title. He has been a really good coach. He's won a lot of games. Don't know if I'd put him at 2 because he hasn't really won anything in the SEC. But then they had Kirby Smart, Dan Mullen, and then Ed Orgeron. So when we talk about from this national narrative, right, when we talk about from this national onslaught of when I come out here and I get all red in the face and I get pissed off and I say these Rudy Poos don't respect LSU or Ed Orgeron. They don't. Dan Mullen is 2-2 against Ed Orgeron. 2-2. Okay? Ed Orgeron has a national title, an SEC title, and has won the SEC West, the toughest division in college football. Dan Mullen has won the SEC East. He's won the SEC East. So to say that you can put him above Ed Orgeron is trash water. I'll have the debate with you with Jimbo. I don't want to get in that debate and that argument. I think I'd put Ed over him right now, but it's not as egregious. Kirby Smart has gotten to a national title. He's won the SEC East a couple of times. He's 0-2 against Ed Orgeron. It's unreal the amount of disrespect that Ed Orgeron gets nationally. Sometimes it comes to a head. And I know that, kind of getting some information from some people, they might be influenced to write stuff like that. But the question that I always bring up is, if you're influenced by your bosses that are national sports writers, national sports places, why are they picking LSU of all these places? Just a very interesting thing to think about. But I didn't see that. I think that look, as much as people trash Paul Feinbaum, and I mean people trash him, he's not – there are some things he's wrong about. But go look at his preseason and where he has teams slotted. He had LSU 2, I think, in 2019, and people ridiculed him for it, said there would be a toss-up between them and Alabama. I mean, I'll have to go and read it, but I agree with him. I think that LSU is talented at every position, and not only are they talented, they have a lot of experience. Guys, there's so much experience on this team. It's funny. This D-line is going to be the heart and soul of this team, and that's what's crazy about it in and of itself. All these kids returning. Absolutely crazy. Kenny says, I'm a little late, got off of work, but I'm in the house. Cool, man. Cool. We appreciate the update, Kenny. Ryan Thibodeau says this documentary is long overdue, in my opinion. It is. Sorry, guys. Hold on. It is long overdue. It was long overdue, and I'm glad that Skip got it before. He talks about meeting your maker. I'm glad he got to see it. I'm glad he got to see it. Kenny Russell says, Blake, LSU gets most disrespect out of any college team in the country. I want to Kenny, the crazy part about that is I don't know if I want to I'm not trying to be biased when I say that, and I'm going to continue to read the rest of your comment here. But I think it's true. You want to write national articles about a school, why is there multiple ones about LSU? Is it because they get a rise out of us? I mean, but come on, man. If you're going to put Kirby Smart and Dan Mullen and Kirby Smart above Ed Orgeron when they don't even have winning records, and Ed Orgeron has a national title at the school that he's at, I mean, come on, bro. Well, Blake, he went 5-5 during COVID. Kirby Smart wasn't that good in his first year. He wasn't that good. And the truth is that Dan Mullen doesn't have a resume that Ed Orgeron does. Ed Orgeron is 13-4 against top 10 teams. 3 of those losses coming to the University of Alabama and Nick Saban. 3. Come on, bro. I mean, it's a joke at this point. It's a joke. Ryan Thibodeau says on YouTube, I was waiting for the hold the rope to be in the dugout in Hoover. If it were me, I would do it. I would get an Uber. I would go, hey, bring me to a Walmart. Go get or a Home Depot, get a rope. Cut that sumbitch off. Get 6 foot, 5 foot, 4 foot, whatever you want to get, and put it up in the dugout. Hopefully it gets these guys a little motivated. We'll see. I mean, you really young team. Really, 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 really young team. Let's see. Brandon Reed says, almost meant that he is the best baseball coach in the SEC history. That he is. There's not a doubt about that. No doubt about that. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Barrett says, ask Blake, what's up, man? I hope y'all realize I hope TJ does good. As far as my Twitter response, I just figure Bo will be the starter there. Yeah, talking about TJ Finley, I do think that Bo Nix will be the starter at Auburn to start the season. I'm going to tell you this. The last thing we heard from TJ is that he wanted to go to a program that was going to give him the ability to start right away. With that being said, do you really think that TJ was not told by Brian Harsin and people of that staff that number one, either he's not going to start or that he's not going to push or they're not going to rotate or that whatever he was told. And I feel that he was told the beginning of that statement that he can come in and he could start. It's the only reason why TJ goes to Auburn. There's no connection there. There's no coaching connection. Brian Harsin comes in. No connection whatsoever. Will be interesting to see if they offer his brother Cody in the coming days. Let's see. Kenny says Feinbaum is still mad about the 1997 College World Series, LSU 13, Gump 6. You know what's crazy about that is Paul Feinbaum actually doesn't – he's a big Tennessee fan, believe it or not. Believe it or not, he's a Tennessee alum and big Tennessee fan. Jonathan on Facebook says 188 home runs in that 97 was a record. Yeah, and it's not going to be touched. Right? Like it's just not going to be touched. I mean, because baseball has changed so much. And let's not act like the game did not change on Skip, because the game did change on Skip. I mean, the bats got better when he in the later part of his later part of his career, and he adapted. Hey, we're gonna go get guys that can hit. I mean, you get guys like Terrio. I mean, Cressy. The best, I like the last part of that. He goes, I went up to Brad Cressy, and I went up to Cressy, and Cressy tells a story, which we all just saw. He goes, hey, big guy, he's going to throw you the curve. Like, just the way that the cadence and what Skip does. He's going to throw you the curve. Go with the pitch. And then Skip's like, I thought he was going to roll over the curve. God, he's just a classic. Just a classic, man. Wonderful human being. Brian and Annie Pitton on YouTube says that SEC story was awesome. That it was. Ryan Thibodeau says, hashtag Ask Blake, did you watch the video game of LSU versus UCLA on YouTube? No, I did not. I don't really watch that stuff. I'll play it, but I'm not going to watch it, you know. I'm just not going to watch it. Travis Dicey said, Tony Weaver. Where you at, Tony? What'd Feinbaum say? He had on Skip Bertman today. It was a great interview, and he was very humble. Look, he was very humbled to have Skip on. Talked about Skip as an AD, talked to him about as a coach, and talked to him about Nick Saban picking his brain. You know, there's probably about 40. I was told there was about 45 minutes that we didn't see that got cut out of that film, and Nick Saban said that he used to pick Skip's brain about stuff and learned so much. And Nick said it. He goes, look, I had an AD to understand what I was talking about. And look, Skip was a big part. And Nick has said this before. He was a big part in helping him in what he was doing. Now, he didn't hire – well, actually, he's got 2 national titles. Right? Correct? Yes. I mean, he just didn't hire Nick. That's nuts, man. I mean, the man could – let's see, 5 – another one in baseball, 2 football. The man's got 8 national title rings as a coach or AD at LSU. Unreal. That's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. When you're at and it's not like a lot of coaches get rings when they're assistants, but this man was at the highest of highs, bro. The highest of highs. He is the epitome of LSU athletics. And we have to accept that. And he's been out of the spotlight, which no one's talking. All right, I see this question here. Scott says, any news on Eric Gilbert? So I know that we have talked about this. I know I even made a post. And if you didn't see the post or the Twitter thing, it was a picture of Ed Orgeron kind of giggling and Jake Peets kind of like, I don't know what you call it, like blue steel, like, oh, hell yeah. We talked, and I'm going to say this, we talked about it 3 times last week about Eric Gilbert. I'm going to tell you this, unless something off the field happens, I think that there's an extremely good chance that Eric Gilbert is going to be on this football team next season. I think there's a really good chance. I'm not saying he's back yet. I know that we've kind of been hitting it over the last week. Again, talked about it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I do think that, there's going to be a good chance that Eric Gilbert, from what we hear, is going to be on that team. To talking about holding the rope, right? Something magical is going on here with this kid. Not just from an Arik Gilbert standpoint. When you have an individual that struggles, and it's like the old, I don't want to get into your faith. Not trying, people have their own faiths and walks of life. But as what I believe, the good book says, the prodigal son returns. I'm not saying Arik Gilbert's the prodigal son, but it's like that instance. When you love a kid, when you have a connection, you bring him back. If Arik Gilbert comes back on this team, let's talk this into existence. When this kid comes back on this team, and he has a really good season and does good things for LSU, Ed Orgeron better get credit for it. He didn't have to do what he did. He's getting a lot of help from teammates. The bond on this team is really interesting. Very interesting. Going to be very excited to see what happens with Arik Gilbert. I think academically he will be fine. And really the truth is the only place he was probably going to be fine academically anyway was LSU, because it's really hard to do what he was trying to do and transfer, but the kid has made it so far. So we'll see. We will see if he does come back. If Arik Gilbert is on this team in 2021, watch the out. You understand what I'm telling you? Max Johnson and Arik Gilbert were on the same middle school team. Could you imagine playing that team in middle school with Max Johnson and Arik Gilbert? There was a funny thing that Brad Johnson said one time. Max's dad. We all know who Brad Johnson is, former Super Bowl winning quarterback. He told Max one time when they were on the team, like, hey, you can't always throw to Arik Gilbert. You're going to have to throw it to some other kids. And Max said, the shit I can't. He didn't say it like that, but the hell I can't. I'm going to keep throwing it to him. They have a good connection, and look, he's been a good leader for Arik Gilbert. It's going to be good to have that kid back, because if that kid comes back, and if it does transpire that way, then tight end is a position where you're like, you know what? We have the depth there. Jack Besh is a guy that's coming in. The Sheed kid from Mississippi is a guy coming in. You have Cole Taylor that's already there, so you have a lot of depth. Guys, again, this team is extremely deep. I was going to say, outside of Joe Burrow, but shit, that's a big outside of Joe Burrow, outside of the best college quarterback that we've seen in the SEC's history. This team feels, if you take Joe Burrow out, and just stay with me here, that team in 19 had a lot of depth. A lot of good talent, a lot of seniors, and a lot of draftable guys on that team. This team has a lot of the same. And look, the SEC, outside of Alabama, the SEC is an older conference. A lot of older guys returned outside of Alabama. Travis Dyson says Coach O is 2-0 against Kirby. Yeah, which is so weird. Every single time I see something from Saturday Down South, and, we had on Glenn Guilbeau, what was it, 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and he was on Saturday Down South on one of their podcasts talking about LSU. And every time, at least for me, I'm not accusing them. Because as our platform is expanding and my DMs get larger with people from a national media standpoint, and they send me DMs, let me just say this. I'm not trying to trash Saturday Down South. However, from my perspective, every time I see something from Saturday Down South, when it is about LSU, it is not a good piece. It's never something good. Not good about their team, not good about their coaches, not good about this, not good about that. Always Rudy Poo. Always trash water. Roderick Duga, what's up, Roderick? Says O deserves more respect, and as does our Tigers. But it all works itself out during the season, and let the haters hate. That's true. That's true. It's very true. Even if Ed Orgeron wins another title, I feel like they'll find a way to diminish him in whatever way that they can. Let's do this very quickly. Let's get to a very quick break. Very, very quick break. We'll take some more of your questions inside the comments. We'll continue to talk all things LSU. But, guys, you got to go see my good friend, Mr. John Patton, over at GMFS Mortgage. Buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash-out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with my good friend John Patton from GMFS Mortgage today by sending him an email at jpatton@gmfslending.com or giving him a call at 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. With all of the money that John is saving people on their mortgage that they have now, they are so glad that they're able to be partners and good friends with John Patton. GMFS is changing lives. So give them a call today at 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. And tell them your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. And our good friend, Mr. Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. If you want the best-looking yard in your neighborhood, Richie Roche and his crew is going to get that taken care of you today. Again, that's 225-937-7220. Tell me your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino, sent you on by. All right, I just got sent this from a friend of mine. Eli Ricks just posted something on Instagram or what is this? Or Twitter. It says, from Eli Ricks, kill all that rehab talk. We back on the grass now. Ain't been on the field since last year. Thank you to everyone that helped me get healthy. Been a long 6 months, but I'm ready now. I will make up for lost time. I'm telling you, man, there's something brewing about this team. Something brewing about this team that it's just crazy. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, it's not going to be last season. This is a 10-win team. If anybody with a pulse doesn't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Barrett Granger says, I probably told him he could have a chance to compete for the job, talking about TJ Finley. Of course they did. Of course they did. That's exactly what they told him. And I would say that they even told him that they're leaning to starting him. I'm telling you, man, he did not listen to me. Read between the lines of what I'm telling you. They told that kid that there's a good chance he's going to start. Regardless if it happens, I don't know that. What happens on the field, we'll have to get, J-Boy on here to talk about it. I don't know if he starts. I don't follow Bo Nix and break Bo Nix down enough right now, and maybe we'll get, more in the SEC as we continue to expand AYS. But I'm not a fan of Bo Nix. I'm not a fan of his game. I'm just not. So we'll see. Very quickly on TJ Finley. The kid had, 7 touchdowns in 5 games, total touchdowns in 5 games. Nix had 12 and 11 games? 12 and 11 games and 7 for TJ in 5 games. So let's not act like Bo Nix is just head and shoulders above TJ Finley, because he's not. He is not. And how's Bo Nix going to react to a new coaching staff? We don't know that. Ryan Thibodeau says they had no defense and your boy Brennan had 3 interceptions. Who's that against? Who are you talking about? Who did Brennan – I don't remember Miles Brennan ever having 3 interceptions in a game. Maybe I'm wrong. Lamar Williams says Ryan Theriot Ryan Theriot was the only reason I watched LSU baseball. Yeah, him and Mike Fontenot was a great 1-2 punch. I mean, I remember, when I was coming up and 7, 8, 9, 10, and my brother watching and following LSU athletics the way that he did really molded me to be such an LSU fan. And my brother's a huge baseball fan, huge. Played it all of his life and just huge. And so I remember those Theriot teams, man. Ryan Theriot was one of my favorites. Cressy. Who else was on that team? Then in 2009, when I was 19 years old and I played against all of those guys, I mean, it was unbelievable. Ronald Barnes, what's up, Ronald? He says, hashtag Ask Blake, how does Trey Morgan get first team All-SEC on defense but second team All-SEC Kid had a phenomenal year as a true freshman. Ronald, I agree with you here, and I don't want to diminish Trey Morgan because I think the kid's he is next level. The kid is going to play at the next level. But as we saw in the series last week or this past weekend, the kid Frizzle from Texas A&M, has 20 home runs. That and is hitting over 350. The kid's a first baseman, man. And I didn't see the list. I was really busy today. I don't know if he made first team, but I would assume I'll find that, Ronald, because I didn't get a chance to see that today. And he didn't even make – look, here's the bigger thing to me about Trey Morgan is he wasn't an SEC Freshman of the Year. He should have been the SEC Freshman of the Year. They gave it to the kid from Vandy and la-di-da-di-da, Vandy and all that kind of bullshit. That kid should not have been the SEC Freshman of the Year. Trey Morgan got snubbed from that. Let's just call a spade there. Let's call a spade a spade. He's got a better average. He's got more hits. He's a better defensive player. Trey Morgan is that kid from Vandy. So, but he's on a better team. So, it just makes it look a lot better. I think he scored more runs than Trey, but that's because that team has just been so much better. Had the ability to score more runs. No doubt. Ryan says, what's eating Gilbert's grapes? Nothing. Brandon Reese says, getting Gilbert back would be huge for that offense this upcoming season. It would be, and it will. It would be, and it will. Look, he's going to play all. You can put him at the X, you can put him at the Y if you don't know what X is. X is one far receiver on the outside of the numbers or outside the hashes. Excuse me. Then you have Z on the other side, and Y is usually your slot guy, and then your HZ or H and Z will be the guys that normally will be in the slot, Y and Z. And H-back, however you want to, whatever in the shit they want to call it. There's got so many names for the guys in the slot and how you do things. But, yeah, you can put him in the slot. The one thing that he does need to work on, though, however, the one thing he needs to work on is run blocking. Guys, I don't know if we remember just how damn good Thaddeus Moss. I've talked about this for a year, even more than a year, even since we started back the live videos. Thaddeus Moss, although was good at catching the ball, that kid on the line of scrimmage, it was a different ball game. It's a different ball game on that line of scrimmage. The way that he was able to attack the running game was just unreal. Unreal. Let's see. David says, if Gilbert does come back, do you see LSU using a 2 tight end package? No. Maybe in the red zone, short yardage, maybe, but no. No. Maybe they will. And look, Jake Peets wants to get some of the, more pro-style packages in third and short. You could see it, but as an every down thing, yeah, you could probably see some packages. The question will be, would you put – this is what I would probably do. Do you put Gilbert and Jack Bech there? If you have Gilbert and Bech, two guys that are extremely physical, and we've heard from Mickey Joseph that Jack Bech already has packages installed for him at that H-back spot. Look, that kid, I know people say that he doesn't have the frame to be 220 pounds. I don't believe that. The kid's 215 already. Get him to 220, 225. Let him be in that H-back slot. The kid is freaking ferocious. Do you understand what I'm telling you? If you smell, that kid is he's not a 3-star. Jack Bech is not a 3-star. Let's get that very much understood. So do you put that in a 2 tight end kind of set? Here's the problem with Jack Bech that nobody's talking about, though. I want to make this very clear on May 24th. What is that kid going to do? If you put him in H-back, what does he do on the line of scrimmage? Guys on the line of scrimmage in the SEC is a different beast than playing at St. Thomas More. It's a different ball game. Completely different ball game. Those guys are men. Doesn't matter if it's LSU. Doesn't matter if it's all. And look, he's going to get some experience at LSU with that D-line. But you got big guys at Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss has gotten some defensive linemen, but they really need to get better there. Texas A&M has some horses up front. Florida always has guys in the NFL from that D-line. It's a different beast from playing and look, St. Thomas More's great, not Rudy pooing on them. It's different from playing private league 4A ball than it is to playing in the SEC. It is what it is, man. And Jack Bech never had his hand in the dirt blocking an SEC D end. So we'll have to see how he adjusts to that. That will be the biggest thing. How does he adjust to that? Kid's versatile. Kid can get up the field. He's extremely physical. But will that physical – if he's going to be an H-back, he's going to have to put on weight. And that's what I don't think people understand. He can't stay 215. No. Jack Bech cannot stay 215. David says this team gets a vibe like a 2019 team. Yep, we talked about that. That's true. And Ryan says that this 21 team's on a mission. And Alex King says Gilbert is versatile enough to play in the slot. He is versatile enough to play in the slot. He's versatile to play wherever in the hell you want him to. He's versatile to play wherever you want him to. Let's see here. Ryan Thibodeau says that was on that video game, Blake. Yeah, I don't really watch it. Craig Schilling says TJ can thrive at Auburn. LSU has a scouting report on TJ, so I'm not worried about facing him. I just don't want to see that big bazooka go up against it. And look, TJ doesn't have a lot of – I mean, there's pressure at Auburn to win, but I don't know if there's a lot of pressure on them to win immediately. You know, like when Ed Orgeron came in, there wasn't a big pressure to win. I mean, yes, beat Alabama, but we gave him a couple seasons and he won. We'll have to wait and see. Plaisance on Facebook Live says Will Frizzle from A&M was first team at first base. And look, I didn't see it and already knew that he was. Okay, the kid had, 19, 20 home runs. And so I'm not poo-pooing on Trey Morgan, but when a kid hits 20 home runs in today's day and age, that's just light years above everybody else. He's going to be a first-team guy, and quite honestly, let's call a spade, deserves to be a first-team guy. If you hit 20 home runs, you deserve it. Unless a guy hits 21, then okay, but he deserves to be a first-team guy, with no doubt. Kenny says Gilbert blocked really well against Alabama. He did on some instances, and watching that game when he was going – like if he went up against an outside backer that normally rushes, we remember those guys like Terrell Lewis. I forget another one of their outside linebackers. He did good against the linebackers, got slaughtered against the DNs. That's where his game was just like, ugh. Wasn't good. Juice Washington says, #AskBlake, with the rest of the recruits joining the team, who's a new name to watch? In reference to what, Juice? What like in reference to what's a new name to watch in recruiting, or what's a new name to watch in this team? I think if it's this team now, I think that you have – I mean, Major Burns is a part of this team. I think Major Burns, like we talked about Saturday, and when he committed, is going to push for a starting position. So I think that in this class, Major Burns is a guy that we should look out for. We'll see. It's really weird for wide receivers, though, right? Because – you could come out and say Chris Hilton or Brian Thomas or Malik Neighbors, whoever. That wide receiver room's deep, man. It's deep. You know, something else I just thought about when I was I see some comments about Bech. You know, Devontae Lee's another guy you could put on if he can bring the weight on, but he got the weight off. Look, I think that kid's going to see some playing time now. Drew says Thad Moss blocking during 2019 Auburn game was the difference. It was the difference. And there's multiple games when you – look, I was kind of joking with some guys on Twitter about LSU and Alabama being the biggest rivalry in the SEC, which I believe that it is, and I don't think that it's close because right now, because of its importance, not saying history long term, as of right now, it is the biggest rivalry. And – even what he did against Alabama, receiving and blocking, I mean, having that kid on the line of scrimmage in your run game, it's like having a 6 offensive lineman that can catch the ball at a very high rate. That's scary. That's another thing that made Gronk so damn good. Gronk was a physical guy that could catch the ball, that could get up the field, ran good routes, but he was just such a damn good run blocker that when he would fake a run block, he'd fake an inside zone, you were like, shit, I got to get ready for this, and then he would release. So that's when you have the guy that can do that, just so versatile in what you want to do with a tight end. If Gilbert can do that, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So we will see. Juice says, I would rather have Jack as a big body wide receiver versus him in a small tight end. I can see that. I can see that. I mean, they've already talked about that they have packages for him at H-back. If you're going to put him there, get him to 220, 225, see if he can do some stuff. I mean, look, Thad Moss was 231, and we talk about him in his run block, but he was a willing run blocker. He was a willing run blocker, and Jack's never done that. So, again, we talk about Jack Bech going to tight end, and he can gain all the weight he wants, but until you get them hands on a DN or Andre Anthony, a B.J. Ojolari, it's a different ball game. Like Conor McGregor said, it's a different ball game when you get hit by me. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game when you hit that SEC DN. I'm telling you right now, even at Southeastern, when we play a team like a Mississippi State, I preach this so much. It's a difference when you hit a Fletcher Cox. It's a different ball game, man. Think the kid's so talented, though. Let's not get this twisted. Kid is uberly talented. Let's see. Let's get a couple more. We'll get out of here. Garrett Gotro, what's up, Garrett? He says, hashtag ask Blake, when do they release seating for regionals? They in it Wednesday or Thursday? Or no, is it Saturday? I'll have to check that. I think it might be Saturday. I thought for a second there I was thinking for the SEC tournament, I was like, well, they're already out. But I think it might be Saturday or Friday, whenever it ends. I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. Yeah, man, I got 72 notifications on Twitter. 72. About half of these are Eli, people tagging me in the Eli Rick stuff. So when you ask me, Blake, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this? Did you see that? Guys, I've been doing a show for 49 minutes and I have 72 notifications on Twitter. No, I didn't see it. I don't mean that in a wrong way. You know I love you guys. So when people say, well, Blake, you didn't message back or anything, guys, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I'm not going through 72 notifications. Just not. LSU Deckman was up on Periscope Twitter says, didn't he have a Hunter Kill as a quarterback signee a few seasons ago? Who's that? Who? Mark says, who are the walk-ons on QB this year? They have a couple, but nothing really worthy because one of them is a third string when Brennan comes at a grad transfer in the fall. Well, he's already a grad transfer. Miles Brennan's already a grad. I mean, let me reemphasize this because I know someone's going to say Blake says Miles Brennan's a grad transfer. If he transfers, he would be a grad transfer. So he's already graduated. He could be a grad transfer. There's nothing stopping him from transferring. Look, let me say this too. A lot of teams only have two quarterbacks on their roster. Let's also get that understood. What LSU had in 2000. Look, Ed Orgeron has done a good job at managing. I feel in managing the quarterback room in a sense of depth. Guys, there's a lot of programs. Alabama last season, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. So that's the two that they had. That's a problem all across the country. It's not just a problem at LSU, and I know that gets talked about ad nauseum, and LSU fans don't want to hear that, but that's just the truth, okay? That's not an LSU problem. That's a national problem. I feel for these coaches because how do you I don't even know how or why this is saying that, but it's just a problem all across the board. Mark also says 13 players have the same number on one team. So how is that going to work with name, image, and likeness and jersey sales? I don't know. And 13 players don't have the same number. Just a name on the back, really. I mean, they're going to have to start putting names on backs. And look, let me make this very clear very quickly. If you think LSU's not going to profit off of name, image, and likeness, you are crazy. You're crazy. They're going to make so much damn money off of name, image, and likeness. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Mark says I just looked it up. When he's talking about none that are going to play. Name the 13. Name the 13. I mean, you might have two or three, but not one of those kids aren't going to play, and they all play on the same side of the ball. So, and Robert says they release regional hosts towards the end of the SEC tournament. Yeah, look, I think LSU with the win, sure clear in with that. Look, they're 29th, and I think when the coaches poll and stuff like that, they're in. I mean, unless they lose 28-2, I think that they're in. They're a top 30 team. And they want LSU in. Let me get back to this very quickly when Mark talks about name, image, and likeness. If you think that LSU is not going to come up with a partnership with these kids to sell their jerseys in the bookstore that has their number and name on the back of their jerseys, you're crazy. There's already in the bill of name, image, likeness for this state, for example, that LSU will get. So, for example, if I'm an LSU player and I sell a hat with the LSU purple and gold on, and you have to get in a partnership with LSU to use those colors, like how LSU gets paid from Raising Cane's to have the Ed Orgeron in a purple shirt. It doesn't have the LSU emblem on it, okay, but it's the LSU purple, which everybody knows what that means. So they get paid from that. LSU is going to get – you can't convince me. You cannot convince me now that the schools are in a partnership with these athletes that if a Joe Burrow says, yeah, LSU, you can sell my jersey, give me 70%, you take 30%, and they say yeah, or 50-50, whatever the split's going to be, I have a Joe Burrow. Look, as we're renovating the AYS studios, I have a painting from my good friend Todd Kepper behind there, and my wife just got it framed. I'm going to send that to Todd. I know he's going to love him. He's going to love hearing me give him a shout out on the show. But we're going to be putting it like right here. I mean, look, everything. I mean, come on. They're going to make so much money. It's just ridiculous, the amounts. Last one, we're getting out of here. Jonathan says, if LSU runs the table in the SEC tournament, do you think that they could pull a host? I don't know that. I don't know that. That'd be tough. I don't know that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that. We'll have to bring somebody on that could tell me better than that. All right, guys, we will see you guys tomorrow. We do have an LSU game. What is it, at 4:30? So we'll have a good time at breaking that down after that. But until then, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Hold the rope for your LSU Tigers. We'll see you again soon. Have a good night.